Welcome to week 5, perspective. For today's suggestion, I have the Taj Mahal. So let's get started. There's lots of different ways to create perspective and dimension in your drawing. One quick way that we can just kind of warm up is by getting just a computer sheet of paper, and you can just grab some crayons and we'll draw a line going from the left to the right, and we can draw some circles. 1, 2, 3. In the guide it talks about the difference between dimensions, one-dimensional and three-dimensional. So we've got shapes and forms. So these are the shapes of the circles, and then to create dimension to them, then we're going to turn them into spheres. So you can pretend like we've got a sun over here in the corner that's shining light. If you want to draw a little sun, you can. But you've got 3 circles we're turning into spheres. So I've got my sun shining so bright down on them. You're going to come down here because this part's not getting the sun. And you're going to then use a really hard hand, and then you're going to get a medium hand and then a lighter hand. So you can go ahead and do that for all 3 circles that you're changing into spheres simply by the amount of pressure that you're putting on your crayon. Now, another thing to help give it dimension and to ground it is to give it a shadow, because if you've got the light shining here, then it's casting a shadow to the side. So touching your object, you're going to come behind it and give it some, like it's sitting on the ground. So there's numerous different ways, but something like that. So that gives dimension and perspective for your drawing. Then you've also got just the simple, so we've got our house. We're drawing our square, the good old rectangle on there. And then to create, let's say, a sidewalk that's coming from our rectangle we just drew right there, you're going to take the line and you're going to fan it out as it comes to you, like so. And then let's put some bushes beside our house. Oh, they're so small because they're so far away. But then as they're going to get closer to us, they are going to get larger. So I think that we sometimes can overcomplicate the perspective lesson and get into like drawing cubes and making them look like they're, disappearing, and put them on different dimensions. And I would steer away from using the rulers and just let them do it with their hands and not worry really getting into the measuring, but just the simple thing of like, look, you gave this drawing perspective. You made the house look like it was further away. We know that if we were standing there in real life, these bushes would all be the same size to us, but because this is further away, they're going to be smaller. And then you can also give your bushes dimension. If you've got the sun shining, you can make them darker on one side, you can give them some shadows, but don't get into the whole rulers of measuring to make sure there's the correct amount of space, and because there can just be so much frustration on that, and you just want them to get the overall concept. So that's what we're going to be doing with the Taj Mahal. Just working with a simple horizon line and putting something above it and bringing some plants below. So give the student a piece of cardstock to begin on, and then I would suggest we're just going to use crayons. If you want to use markers, you could do that, but a darker crayon, probably a black would look nice, or you could come back and outline it. So first we're just going to do the horizon line, the line that's going to go from the left to the right. And you want to be about in the middle of your paper, maybe a little bit down, and just go straight across. And then we're just going to start with a square. Now I would suggest maybe having some examples of the Taj Mahal that you could print out. You could locate it on the map. You could, here's my colored copy. You could talk about the art behind the Taj Mahal. Like, what do we call the artists who designed and planned this building? We call them the architect. Then you can look at different arches and the different styles that they used in India. If you don't want to do the Taj Mahal, then you could look at many other different architectures, structures around the world that you could emulate as well. So maybe just you could have a few of these examples on hand to show them what we're working from. So starting with got a little spot right there. Starting with your rectangle, then you're just going to be building on that. So I see I've got some other rectangles to the side of it. And you see that they've got a dome, and we definitely see a lot of symmetry here when we were talking about our mirror images. And I see some arches. And these are kind of stacked. And this is where I think they can have fun with doing some different colors and patterns. So maybe it's the Taj Mahal, and we're working on the perspective. So that we're working on the balance, and we're going to work on the perspective that it's coming toward us. But then they also could, modernize it maybe and put different patterns or colors and kind of give it like an abstract look. So this would also be a good lesson that you could even do in week 6 when you're putting lots of different elements and stuff that we worked on. So with your opening right here, then you're going to take that and you're going to bring it out towards you like so. And then we're giving the perspective that we are standing further away and we've got to travel to it. So then the same kind of thing that we did with the warm-up with the bushes, that we know in real life that these plants are all the same size, but because these are further away from us, they appear to be smaller. So then you can have the students bring in the different colors and put their bushes in there that are getting bigger as they get closer. And you can fill these in more, of course. And then go back and color them. And you could, again, add that perspective like, oh, we've got the bushes here. Now to add your shadows when you're doing these drawings, you could just take a black and do real faint on the side of it. You don't want to press down too hard. You want your shadow just to kind of be a hint. You don't want it to dominate your picture. So just to go back to the example here, you're just taking basic shapes, your rectangles, squares. You've got the arches, we've got dots right here to decorate it. We've got some curved lines coming down, and they're just building on those basic oil shapes to create their version of the Taj Mahal. And then we're working on the perspective this week as well on creating that road that's coming towards you. So you're doing that with the plants, and you can also do that if you line the walkway there. That's another way that you can do it. That let's say that we've got these bricks that are creating the walkway. We know that if we're walking it, the bricks are all the same size, but they're going to appear to be smaller together. So that's where you can take your line, and if you do it on one side, then you come on the other. But as you're getting further back, they're going to be getting closer together. All right, so that's the suggestion for week 5, which could also be used for week 6 and incorporates several of those things that we talked about. So have fun with the perspective drawing.